Hi, my name is Michael Higgins. Today I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of the project that I've been working on this semester for this class. It discusses and concerns utilizing artificial intelligence for neurodivergent learners in different academic settings. So this particular focus is to build an academic community interest on neurodivergence in educational settings, and this can range from academic to professional settings as well. I really see this project as being a way that instructional designers can get together with trainers and facilitators to sort of handle underlying diagnoses that they may not necessarily be able to call out and accommodate directly. It's also for educators in the in the general education setting that may have a couple of students that have level one or level two autism as an inclusion. Um, it's for parents. It's for neurodivergent academics. It's for people that study autism. But it's for everybody to come together in a communal way to address this major need. So my um, my presentation will focus on the purpose. It'll underline sort of the purpose of why I'm forming this community, what it means to me. And then I'm going to go into a separate topic where I discuss some of the concerns of the ongoing research in neurodivergent learners and neurodivergence in general and how we study autism, the diversity problems that are within the research community, applications that have been done, and applications that we can use for neurodivergent learners for artificial intelligence, and then finally kind of discuss some of the needs. So I really hope that this is sort of this can be a good way for individuals to get to know one another, to learn, to collaborate, to see new research initiatives come out of this, and to really just kind of build a database for educators. That's really the entire focus. So the target audience here is educators and learning and development professionals who focus on teaching or creating instructional material for diverse learners. Right now, the project only has two AI technology focuses. The first one is LLMs, which is large language models. And the second one is adaptive tutoring technology. I explore in the context of the paper as well as in the context of the entire like project. We explore use cases for their effectiveness at treating cognitive and social challenges in neurodiverse populations. Predominantly in this particular setting, I really would like to focus more so on the cognitive challenges versus the social challenges because there's of the little research we have, there is a lot of studies and applications that are done for social situations and social settings, as opposed to really helping cognitive differences. So that's kind of the purpose and the focus of where we are with that. Neurodivergent learners historically fall through the through the cracks in educational settings, both academic and professional settings. Therefore, it's imperative that our design and facilitation practices change as we begin to understand more about neurodivergence and how people think that are on the autism spectrum. So for me personally, this has become sort of a very important topic because I am neurodivergent myself and seeing how we can utilize artificial intelligence to really help bridge some of the gaps and the struggles that I have personally faced in academic and professional settings that go beyond social skills is really important to me. So that's kind of another reason why I'm really very passionate about this project. So there are a couple purposes. The first one is collaboration. So academics, educators, and psychologists or psychology majors or undergrad, graduate, really whoever has an interest in studying neurodivergence in educational settings and studying AI applications in educational settings for neurodivergent people. That's really what we're trying to focus on. So that includes teachers, parents, any stakeholders, behavior interventionists, academics, like I said before, professors, undergraduate and graduate students. So it really does include kind of a diverse array of people to work on and to collaborate on this very new and emerging field. Members are able to submit academic work and multimedia to feature on the website, which I thought was really important because we have to have kind of like a preliminary discussion as to why we're including it, to see whether or not there's enough of a population size in the studies, peer review, open access concerns, things like that. So that's why we have it in the Discord server at first. And then they can share research project initiatives that they're working on, their university affiliations are working on, to the community at large, so that way everyone can kind of help each other out. So that's kind of why it's structured the way that it is. The other part of this, and the major part of this, is raising awareness. This project offers specific resources for educators to understand neurodivergence and its academic implications. So, neurodivergence as a whole, and then also neurodivergence as it applies to artificial intelligence. Neurodivergence learning as it applies to artificial intelligence, I should say. It also provides use cases for how educators implement AI for autistic learners and provides real-world application examples. So we want to be able to sort of help people see what AI can do and how it can help those cognitive deficits in addition to, or cognitive differences, in addition to the ongoing sort of, in addition to other practices. So the neurodivergence research and neurodivergence in terms of educational applications has several problems. So a lot of this data that I have compiled here came from a study from an article or a project that I submitted as a final paper in one of my graduate level classes. And so I've already sort of pulled a lot of the data that's in here, but I think that it's important to kind of reiterate. You can find both the article that I wrote, I guess it's a blog article now. You can find what I wrote inside of the website that's attached to the link in the description. And you can also download a PDF and do whatever you want with it. It's Creative Commons, I guess. I haven't registered it or anything, so just feel free to comb through it, go through the studies. Some of the studies are open access. Some of them you may have to go through academic institutions to do and to see. But otherwise, it's just sort of like to give you an idea of where we are. And in the course of that entire paper, I really started to discover a lot of holes, and it really did show me a lot when it came to like academic discrimination in research, and not just for neurodivergent people, but um, for marginalized communities in general. So we're going to get into, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So lack of research focus persists as a major problem facing current research in AI applications, especially for autistic cognitive deficits and especially for adults. The majority of the research really only focuses on social skill improvements, not cognition and not cognitive deficits. But even in domains that are studied and focused on by researchers, such as utilizing robots, for example, to improve social communication and to analyze, to help autistic individuals analyze facial expressions, it's produced really mixed outcomes. So we have such little research on autism in general, and then on top of that, we add the complexity of artificial intelligence and how to bridge, artificial intelligence and neurodivergence in effective ways. And then where it is sort of implemented, there's conflicting and mixed data on its effectiveness. So those are the real problems that we're sort of those are the challenges that we're trying to bring to light for the academic community, but also to sort of help individuals and stakeholders that have an interest in neurodivergence and neurodivergent education, for them to be able to acquire the resources as they become available, and as more research is done on the topic. So that's kind of why this is essential, is because there's really not a whole lot of like focus on research in autism, and then on top of that, the focus is a little mixed and complicated, and it's a little decentralized. So that's kind of the first problem. The second problem that appears a lot in neurodivergence research is diversity. So the first thing is that underrepresented groups such as people of color and individuals from lower socioeconomic classes are largely not included in these studies. Maybe not largely, but definitely to a like to a statistical significance in the research. And the other thing too is that autism research databases that are constructed for these studies are overrepresent white individuals, and they usually come from middle to high income brackets. And there are a lot of reasons for this. One of the biggest reasons that I read in the research, I think it was also in May et al., they kind of said that people need to have access to high speed internet. They need to be able to take time off of work. They need to be able to have the infrastructure to move around and go to the study if it's an in-person study. And so a lot of people that may have neurodivergent needs and may have neurodivergent diagnoses are either not diagnosed properly, and then if they are diagnosed properly, they're also not represented in the research very well. The other thing too is that a lot of researchers will also exclude cognitive deficits in addition to autism. And there's a little bit of push and pull when it comes to whether or not you should include those cognitive deficits or whether or not they're like, for example, intellectual disabilities. So there's this push and pull going on where it's like, do we include these individuals in the research in the population samples, or do we treat them as a separate category because they have concurrent diagnoses? So um, that is also another big sort of debate that's going on in the academic community. But more importantly here, underrepresented groups are really, that they're not in the research either. And so that's really important to note. Non-English speakers are also excluded from research studies frequently, and female populations are consistently underrepresented in research. So there's a diversity problem. That's even before you get into the implications of AI in neurodivergence. So there's that component. There's also applications. So current research remains sparse, and implications of artificial intelligence, specifically concerning the autistic population, is even less common. And then even less common than that are the studies that focus on adults and adult neurodivergent people. So there's a big need for that. I'm sorry, my little bubble cut off the last thing here, but we can get through it. So finding data on post-secondary applications, as I said, is difficult because of that. And the other thing too is that this was a meta-analysis paper by Coetzee et al. Really great paper. It talks about that they sort of went from about 1,000 different journals, I believe is how big the number was, reduced it down to 13 that specifically was about AI applications in autistic individuals and in educational settings. Um, of those, um, of those papers, of the thousands that they found, only 13 applied to the study, that were long-term studies and more rigorous studies. Only three of those targeted cognitive challenges. The rest of them focused predominantly on social skills, which some people and some advocates, and there's also a paper that I'm going to publish a little bit later on the website that states that neurodivergent advocates and things like that really talk about how, like, a lot of the social skills and a lot of the training that ABA goes through is harmful, and that it also increases the phenomenon of masking in autistic people. So that's a really big deal. So as you can see here, the point is that there's a really large need for researchers to really focus on how we can effectively apply artificial intelligence, especially considering the fact that a lot of these social skill training applications have mixed results, as we saw in the previous slide. So that's another thing that we would like to see a little bit more of, and hopefully we can find a little bit more as my community grows. Finally, there is significant evidence, or there is a lot of evidence, I guess, that immersive technologies, AI integration, and large language models do have a positive impact on the learning environment. And this particular study focused on special education as a whole, but it does include autism in that. Um, there's also some identified cognitive challenges of autistic individuals that really educators need to be aware of in their academic settings in their classrooms. Mainly three. The first one is executive functioning, the second one is attention, and the third one is memory, which is more so impactful on short-term memory than long-term memory. So those are the things that we would really like to see how artificial intelligence can address those deficits, and we know that they can. We know that they can in terms of helping with cognitive processes, including even emotional scaffolding and emotional support and things like that. There's a lot of research on that. You can check out my website or the project's website, I guess, and it'll tell you a little bit more about that. There's a couple of articles in there that are about that, and I hope that they're open access because they're really important ones. Um, anyway, so that's that particular situation. So we've kind of gone over a little bit about like what the problems are, and I want to touch on one other thing, if you're still here. Um, One other thing that I want to focus on is also to tell you that a lot of these studies that mention cognitive challenges are based on small sample sizes of 30 or 40 people. So, not to mention the demographics of that population sample size, and whether or not it's inclusive or not, on a variety of metrics. So, that's also a significant challenge. So, if you've made it this far, I know it was a 16-minute video. I'm sorry it took so very long. In conclusion, AI has significant applications for neurodivergent learners in a variety of contexts, not just social settings and emotional processing, but also cognitive deficits and cognitive differences. Autism research in general has significant problems ranging from population sample size, empirical practices, and the inclusion of marginalized communities. And my project ultimately seeks to bridge the gap from what AI can do and how we currently implement it through collaboration, awareness, and initiative of the members. So, the links for the Discord server as well as the website overall for the project is listed below. If you would love to join me on this adventure, I would really appreciate it. If you have friends that may want to see it, that's also great. And they may want to be get involved. Please share it as much as possible. I'd really like to build something that can really help a lot of people. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you guys have a great day, and please contact me or reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.